you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Wednesday, August 6th. My wife is at a movie with my son. One of my buddies went for a bike ride, called me, told him I couldn't go. Another one of my buddies is in the Old Port right now, and another one of my friends is at Playground. And here I am on a beautiful summer night in the first week of August talking Montreal Canadiens hockey. Somebody's got to work, I guess. I love what I do. But yeah, we are live. Why am I doing this live? Oh, because I do it live usually, right? We're live tonight, and it's going to be a good one because Brian Wilde's going to join me, and it's going to be a Q&A. We're going to answer a lot of your questions. If all goes well, Jimmy Murphy will join me tomorrow. He had a story on Habs' interest in Mason McTavish. The Canadiens, not the only team, of course, and I know that the name has come up quite often this summer. And, ultimately, I don't know if he's going to get moved. But usually where there's smoke, there's fire. For whatever reason, his name continues to be in the news. And maybe that's it. Maybe because they will part ways with Mason McTavish. Personally, if they do, I don't get it. I don't understand it because I know that they have a lot of centermen. But if I was them, I would move forward with a guy like Mason McTavish. Him, Leo Carlson, I think it would be pretty good. You can put Granlund on the wing. But anyway, I digress. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Souvlaki Authentique. Montreal knows good food, but nothing hits like Souvlaki Authentique. Every stick of souvlaki is marinated fresh. Every pita is packed with flavor, and the potatoes twice fried and finished with that signature lemon sauce. This, folks, is what we call comfort food. Greek style, family run, flavor packed. Proud to serve Montreal. Go to souvlakiauthentique.com to find your nearest location and bring a taste of Greece home. Also brought to you by Bittt, Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for the summer with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. Without further ado, let me bring him in from Global TV Montreal. Brian Wilde, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you? I'd like
Very,
to talk
very
for a
good.
second about McTavish myself, if I could.
Okay. I thought you were going to talk about Victoria Mboko.
Big win, huh? 7-6 tie break. Wow, at 4 points.
Unbelievable. And especially
18
the way she lost the first set, you would have thought, okay, she's in tough tonight. She's going up against the 9 seed. And wow, so much character and resilience. Unbelievable. Agnello and Sammy are happy. They told me that Agnello told me before the show that the second the match was over, his wife gifted him 2 tickets for the final tomorrow night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a performance. So my McTavish thought.
Yes, and if I have any friends watching right now who have an extra ticket and want to bring me to the tennis tomorrow, I'll be more than happy to go. And if I have anyone watching who wants to give me 2 ringside seats to the WWE SmackDown on Friday night, I'll take them off their hands as well. Yeah.
Hey. You think somebody would help you out for all that you do for people, Tony, because you do a lot for people.
I'd rather continue to do for people. I'm a giver. I like to give more than
well. You've been very kind to me, and I've really appreciated. All right,
you get everything you
McTavish
deserve.
talk for a second.
Yeah, please do.
This feels like Trevor Zegras, doesn't it? From last year, it's almost a carbon copy.
It almost is a carbon copy, but they're 2 very different players. Like I understood why Zegras' name was out there last year. I understood why his name was out. I don't understand why McTavish's name is out there.
in terms that he's really good and playing great hockey and has a bright future, and Zegras already has some question marks.
Well, this is an organization like the Canadiens that chose the path of a rebuild over the last couple of years, right? They've been finishing in the bottom 5, bottom 6 to be able to go out and draft those players so they could put themselves in a position where they could be good for a long time. And Lord knows that that they've done a really good job of drafting. Martin Madden Jr. has and staff, and and you have Leo Carlson at center, and you have Mason McTavish at center, and the jury's out of whether Zegras is a center or whether he's a winger still. You go out, you acquire Granlund, who can play both as well, but you would think that with Carlson and McTavish, if their contracts can make sense going forward, you're locked in for 10 years. Right? You would think you're locked in with those two guys for 10 years and you'd be very happy with that. So, I understand why a lot of teams want McTavish. I don't understand if eventually he gets dealt. I don't understand why he would.
Right. Well, I think they dodged a bullet last year, obviously, in Zegras, because he's not going to be the player that the optimists thought. And now, obviously, considering he's been a terrible plus-minus player, and now there's talk about going to the wing, I think he'll be a better winger than center because he's not really good at 200 feet. But McTavish is. And even though it feels the same in terms of team and time of year, and the rumor just keeps returning and returning and returning. I mean, it felt like Zegras had 5 different rounds of rumors, and I think we're at round 3 of McTavish now. So where there is smoke, there's fire when it keeps coming back over and over again from so many different sources. I think it'd be a coup if they got him. I mean, obviously, we don't know who they would lose, but it's hard to imagine them losing that trade because it's exactly what the team needs to move forward. And if the Ducks feel like they need a little bit of help on defense, then fantastic.
But if you're the Ducks and you're going to trade Mason McTavish, who's your second line centerman, you're talking with the Canadiens.
Yeah.
You're going to want either a prominent winger, young as well. I'm thinking Slafkovsky. Or if you're going to want a defenseman, you're going to want a Goalie or a Hudson. Let's be honest here, right? As much as Reinbacher can become a good defenseman, I don't think Anaheim would trade McTavish for Reinbacher because Reinbacher hasn't proven that he can do it at the National Hockey League level yet.
You got to go proven for proven. 100%.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, it's a trade that can't work if you go proven for unproven. That's one for video games.
Let's say Goulie's part of a deal. Would Anaheim ask for more? I think they would. Oh, okay.
Not much more. Not much more.
You think it could be a 1-for-1? Yeah. You think it could be a 1-for-1? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying I think it would be a 1-for-1. I'm saying it'd be pretty close to a 1-for-1. And if it's a 2-for-1, you're certainly not taking somebody from top 6 or top 4. The throw-in is from back 6.
If I manage to talk to Jimmy tomorrow, he was a pretty busy guy today. I'm sure it's something that he and I are going to bring up and we're going to talk about quite a bit. So let's move on. It's a question and answer period tonight. We did this already. I think we did it last week. I think people really enjoyed it. And we said, you know what, why don't we bring it back one more time? And who knows, between now and the rest of the summer here, we'll probably make a habit of doing it once a week, Brian. So if you're in, I'm in. All right. Okay, good. So before we get to that, and we'll get to some of your questions, which you actually posted on application X or on Facebook or on any other social media channel, whatever it is, we're going to probably try and bring them up. And of course, if you're watching right now on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitter, especially on YouTube, if you throw out your questions, Shane Gaumont and Master Control and Yellow and Sammy, I think, are there as well. They'll try and bring as many in as possible, and we're going to tackle them. But before we do, Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also brought to you in part by Playground. If you're looking for the ultimate entertainment destination, Playground is your ticket to nonstop thrills. Experience heart-pumping gaming action, world-class poker experience. Playground, the 2025 winner fan choice. Best poker room at the Global Poker Awards. Indulge your taste buds at their incredible restaurants. Let loose with live music and electrifying DJs. Enjoy unmatched customer service Just minutes from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary at Playground? It's all there. Visit playground.ca to discover more. All right, okay. Shane Gaumont, Sammy, and Agnello, bring up the questions, and Brian and I will tackle them. Dave says, with Dach's start to the season in question, how long do you think it takes for Kent to make a move for a 2C? Is it a short-term plug for next year or two, or a long-term option like a Mason McTavish? Now, folks, we haven't seen anything like, I know Max Truman reported that Dach's rehabilitation is maybe not coming around as quickly as anticipated. Eric Engels chimed in earlier today on Application X and basically said he hears that Dach's rehabilitation is going really well. And as a matter of fact, in his off-season training, he's absolutely crushing it. We also know that camp once again opens up in the middle of September. It almost seems like it's around the corner. We'll see what happens. But look, if I recall, when Dach got hurt last year and had the surgery, the Canadiens doctors and the Canadiens medical team fully expected him to be ready for the regular season. So we'll see what happens. But you want to tackle the question anyway, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that if he's not ready for the start of the season, it's 2 weeks that he's delayed, maybe 3 weeks he's delayed, but we're not talking about a big number here. So I don't think people should panic on those terms. I think the bigger question is it he's ready as a hockey player to fill that role, just like we've been talking about for a very long time. Eric says he's crushing it. That's great from a health point of view. I hope he's crushing it. From a hockey point of view, I hope he's crushing it. But this is the guy who was minus 29 for half a season last year. So, you know, even as penciling him in as a 2C, I don't think that the organization feels that comfortable whether he's ready October 7 or whether he's ready October 21, to be honest. And the work ahead still is to get a 2C that I think that they feel fits the bill better than Dach can. And even Newhook could be a guy in there if Dach can't. And then down the line, the guy that they're hoping continues to be outstanding at college and then maybe 1 year in Laval and is 2 years out is Michael Hage. Yeah. Even though stepping in as the center is a pretty hard thing to do. So that's going to remain a question mark. And you know, I think we got to look at what Hugo said, Tony. Hugo said it very clearly. Each of them said it at separate press conferences, and they said this: you can't fill all of your roster in 1 year.
Correct.
That's the sentence I heard from them that said everything. They're trying their hardest, and there is not a glut of 2Cs in the NHL. There's a dearth. They can't find one. The hole is hard to fill. We filled a ton of holes in 82 games and got you to the playoffs for some excitement. And this hole from Hugo is clear. When they said that, yeah, they said you can't fill every hole in 1 year. That's the hole they were talking about. They're having a hard time filling.
Well, you know what? It makes a lot of sense what they said, but they probably should have said you probably shouldn't fill all your holes in 1 year, because to say you can't, like you could jump on a bunch of deals that aren't the ideal deals for you. And at the end of the day, you don't want to do those, right? You want to do the deals that you really want to do. You don't want to force trades just because you absolutely need a second line centerman. I'll say this about Dach. I'm not worried about the whole physical thing. Honestly, I'm not worried. The technology, the way it is today, the doctors, the way they are today, he was ready last season when he had this kind of injury. I think he'll be ready again. Last year, at this time last year, he was rehabilitating the knee, but he wasn't doing what he should have been doing in terms of overall conditioning to get in the best possible shape. So his focus was rehabilitating that knee, but in an ideal world, he would have been rehabilitating that knee and been in the best shape possible, and he wasn't. And because of that, he struggled, but he also struggled because of something else. And I think he admitted as much last year. It was the mental part of the game. Brian, players that go through knee injuries like this, ACL injuries like this, there's a mental block. It's tough to overcome certain worries, certain concerns, certain fears. You're hesitant to go into traffic. You're hesitant to cut into open ice. You're hesitant probably to carry the puck as much as you should. you're hesitant to probably go out and deliver a check because you're worried that, boom, something is going to go off and that knee is going to get hurt again. For me, this is going to be the biggest challenge. And you know what? I'm sure that there's been plenty of players who had 2 ACLs. But when I think of having 2 ACLs in a short amount of time, I think of Andrei Markov. And I don't know if anyone's thought of this. And I know there's no connection between Dach and Markov. But if there's any chance that they can have a conversation, because Markov, when he came back after the second ACL,
yeah, this is great.
He was unbelievable. Remember how good he was? Like, he hadn't skipped a beat.
Yeah, but let me add to that by saying between the first and the second one, I remember it very well. We thought he was done.
Yes.
We thought he was done 7 years before he was done. Between the first and the second one, we thought, wow, he's slow. He's not doing anything. His mind isn't in it. And absolutely, this is a fantastic point by you to bring that up.
Yeah, and you know what? He made quite a bit of money after that by prolonging his career as long as he did, right? But once again, and you know what? Markov spent some time in Montreal in the summer. But then again, I mean, these guys, they can call each other. They could do a FaceTime. But I think it would be good because if Markov has any kind of advice as to, you know, overcoming some of those concerns, what did he do to block out those concerns? Did he do something different with his rehabilitation? Did he do something different with the mental part of the game? How did he approach the games? You know, I think there's a conversation to be had over there. Anyway, thank you for that. Let's move on with other questions. Any possibility, says Jay, that Fowler makes the Habs if he looks absolutely dominant in camp and in preseason? You should always leave an area for, you know, a possibility, but I think they have a plan for Fowler. And I don't think 3 amazing games in preseason or 2 amazing games or 1 amazing game is going to change any of that. So is there any possibility? I'll say, okay, 1%, but I'm convinced that Fowler's starting in Laval. I would be shocked if he doesn't.
I'm going to put it a little higher than 1% because I'm going to throw in something additionally. If he is outstanding and Dobish is not, like, let's say Dobish is just not stopping the puck well at all for some reason.
Okay.
And he looks like Primo the year before at 8:16 or 8:26 before he finally got sent down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if one guy gets 3 and the other guy gets 3 and they get to show themselves and one's at 9:15, 9:20 and the other guy is at 8:20, yeah, they may change their plans. They won't want to. Like, you're absolutely right. They do have a plan and it's 55 games for Fowler in Laval. But if Dobish, like, it's got to be twofold. It isn't just that Fowler does 9:10. It's also that Dobish does 8:10.
And what if Kakkonen does 9:08?
Well, I mean, they really got him penciled in to just be, you know, a fill-in like he was last year, right? I mean, it's just a veteran they're putting in there at this point. He's got no aspirations in the NHL. It's just like that would shock me even more.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kakkonen at some point is with the Canadiens and Dobish is down in Laval.
Well, then making a prediction that things are not that rosy towards a playoff because they just survived making to the playoffs when they finally gave up on Primo. Because if they would have gone with him even 3 or 4 more games, they would have had 0 points instead of 6, and they would not have made the playoffs. So if they're going to him, it means that Dobish and Fowler have had difficulty, and that means that there were lost points.
I saw Kakkonen. I'm not going to pretend to have watched Kakkonen all season last year in the American Hockey League, but I did watch him in the playoffs with the Charlotte Checkers versus the Laval Rocket, and I also saw him in the final versus Abbotsford. You're right about that, but I think he's a good goalie. Like, I think he's a good goalie. Am I telling you that he's going to be a goalie in the National Hockey League level that is going to play, 27 games and play them well? I'm not saying that, but like, I know they gave Dobish a 2-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think they think Dobish is a slam dunk.
Exactly. That's my point.
So because of that, I think that there's a window there for Kakkonen. And
a window for Fowler.
I know, but if Fowler doesn't play a lot of games Let's just say he
Right.
makes the NHL and he
Right.
does
They
it.
want him to play a lot of pro
Is
games.
that the
You're
best
right.
thing for him? It's not the best
Yeah.
thing for his development. He's got to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that.
All
I
right,
would agree with that
because then
entirely.
you're putting him in the same situation as Primo. All right, okay. Other questions. Kripatron says, would you consider turning Arber into a winger? He has a great shot, would get him closer to the net, clean up the left side of the fence for Struble to play more. And future fourth lines of 6-4s is Arber with Florian, with Tyler Thorpe. That's a playoff line. Brian, you're nodding yes.
Oh, 100%. I would very much consider putting Arber Xhekaj as a winger in the National Hockey League. Very much.
I would try it. So if he's not going to play because he doesn't make your top 6 on defense, I would try Xhekaj on the fourth line. I try him. Let's see what he has. And some people are going to say he's not a forward. There's a bunch of defensemen that have played forward and vice versa in the National Hockey League. It happens often. It happened
Mark
with
Streit, Brent Burns,
Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah. Big guys, dominant in front of the net, dominant in the corners. They may not be wary on how to take the puck off the board and the wraparound defensively, but that's a skill they can learn. It's not one that's impossible to learn. Everybody tells you that winger in the NHL is something that doesn't take, immense strategies to figure out at the NHL level. Even it's not center, it's not defense. And generally speaking, if a guy can figure out just about everything defensively, how to play in the NHL game, he's certainly got the ability to be on wing. And with that frame, F1, get in front of the net. And if Struble could be the 6 and he becomes a winger, that does not bother me at all.
Yeah. And Tyler Thorpe, I saw him at Habs development camp.
How was he?
He's big.
Yeah.
He's strong. He's like 6'5", 230 pounds or whatever it is. I mean, the guy's a tank, okay? And, I think he's a kind of guy that will show his value come playoff time at one point. But you know what? This guy needs to play quite a bit in Laval. Jared Davidson. Jared Davidson is not 6'5" like Thorpe, but he's 6 feet. The guy's a center. He can play wing. He scored 24 goals in 69 games. He's played about 120 games, including playoffs in the last couple of seasons. Here's a guy that could probably end up being on your fourth line at some point too. But once again, think about this, right? Could you imagine if Arber and Florian at one point are on a fourth line together and those guys just like the Tkachuk brothers when they have the opportunity to play together? I'm not going to say they're going to have the same impact, obviously, but they feed off each other, right? There's a ton of adrenaline going into the game. Can you imagine the adrenaline these guys would bring into the game, the energy they would bring, the passion they would bring?
But like the Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
And Slafkovsky.
That's a good one.
I'm sorry, I got to go there.
That's a good one. More questions. Habs believer, assuming Evans, Anderson, Matheson, and Carey are on the PK, who would you like to see on the second PK unit, Brian?
Oh, that's a tough one. That changes big this year, hey?
Well, one guy that comes to mind, obviously, is Caden Goalie.
Yeah.
All right.
I was trying to think of the forwards.
Goalie.
I'd love to see Suzuki kill penalties.
I don't want to see.
I mean, they're not going to want him to do that because they're going to want him. Can you put the names back on? Was Anderson on that list?
Put it back on. Put the question back up, please. All right, if we can get it back up.
Because I think Gallagher and Anderson could kill penalties.
Agnello and Sammy and Master Control. Can we put the question back up, please? We're not asking you to put a man on the moon here. We're just asking you to put a question back up.
Sorry,
Okay?
I don't know why I didn't register who they were. I should have all 4 names in my head without it being a difficulty. But yeah, Goalie on defense makes a lot of sense. I like Anderson to play to kill penalties. He was really good last year. I like Gallagher to do that. I don't see any reason why Gallagher couldn't have, bring that kind of big time attitude that he brings, that hustle that he brings to break up plays, have a busy stick. But yeah, I mean, they lost a couple of guys last year, so it's going to be really interesting. If Beck makes the team, he would obviously be able to kill penalties.
Yeah.
Kapanen, I think, would be very good at killing penalties as well if he were to make the team. So it's a hard one because you usually think back of the roster guys there, right? So the front of the roster, the guys can still be.
You know who I want to see kill penalties? Alex Newhook. Because of his breakaway speed.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of his breakaway speed. Remember how effective Paul Byron was as a penalty killer?
Yes.
He wasn't a big guy, but they would thread the needle to him, and this guy would have a ton of breakaways on the penalty kill. Speaking of which, by the way, we're going to get to this, Brian. There's a big development going on in Villa Sal, I've been told, okay, where there's a huge beer league. And, there's some players that used to play in the North American Hockey League, like Billy Frenetti, who was a tough guy, really, really tough guy, still is, who plays in the beer league. And
you in the fighting league?
It was back in the day. It's a lot better now, by the way. You should see Les Éperviers de Sorel play. They won the cup in the North American Hockey League this past season. By the way, do you know how many periods Game 7 was? Game 6, they won the cup in Game 6.
Definitely not.
6,
I do not know.
6 overtimes.
No way.
Yeah, the game-winning goal was scored at like 3:18 in the morning or something like that.
Were you there?
Cool. I was not there, but I want to bring up a picture. Okay, in the locker room, this is a picture of Tyler Chase. All right, who holds the record for the most amount of games played in this beer league without scoring a goal, but he finally scored a goal in his 10th game, and the guys celebrated by giving him the WWE belt. And here you have a picture of him in the parking lot after the game, parading around, going around through the sunroof, holding up the WWE belt. And so Tyler Chase waited 10 games to score a goal in a beer league that supposedly has about 35 goals per game, but it was worth it because according to some, Tyler Chase didn't only score, but he scored on a breakaway, shorthanded from the blue line, backhand. So congratulations to Tyler Chase. All right, I wanted to get that in there because my buddy Kevin Okopian sent it over to me, and Kevin, it's done. All right. So the question was, besides Jake Evans, Josh Anderson, Mike Matheson, and Carrier on the PK, that's your first unit. Who's your second unit? I said Caden Goalie. Yeah. I'm going to say either Struble or Xhekaj, depending on who's playing. Okay?
Why not Dobson?
I'm going to say because I think Dobson is going to play 25 minutes a game. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to play, obviously, on the power play as well. You could play Dobson, but I'd rather give Struble or Xhekaj those minutes. Because if you're not going to get Struble or Xhekaj on the special teams, on the penalty kills, those minutes, they're not going to end up playing all that many minutes. And the other guys are going to end up playing a lot more. Like Mike Matheson last year at one point, this guy was on for the whole 2 minutes on the PK. I don't want to see that anymore.
Right.
Not because Nucky's very good at it, but I want to preserve Matheson as much as I can. So let's see.
I also believe that effectiveness goes down. Like somebody can say he did the whole 2 minutes and good for him, but at the end of the day, the lactic acid builds up, and when it does, your brain is not functioning as well as it would if you didn't have any physical difficulties. And it's just it's human nature, man. It's just the human condition.
Okay, so we agree on Goalie. We agree on Struble or Xhekaj. We agree on Alex Newhook. Mm-hmm. And you were saying
Kapanen or Beck, depending on who makes the team. I think they both have excellent defensive profiles.
If I'm Joe Veleno, and still the jury is out whether Joe Veleno is going to be on this team or Kapanen's going to be on this team. I believe because Veleno's played 308 games at the NHL level, I think Veleno will be on the team.
I do too.
But if I'm Joe Veleno, I'm really working on my face-offs this offseason like you cannot believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to try and make myself the best defensive player like I've ever been, because he needs to find like a niche. Like he needs to basically turn into a kind of, if he can't be what so many people projected him to be in terms of the kind of offensive player a lot of people saw in him, he needs to be a lot like Jake Evans.
Yeah.
So if I'm Veleno, I'm trying my best to get on that second unit on the PK.
Yeah, a lot of guys that score in junior or college and have really big numbers and then are high draft picks and the expectation is high. When they fail at that, they got to rewrite their careers or their career is over.
Yeah, I think that's well said. All right, next question. Jonathan Legendre. Is this the breakout year for Slafkovsky?
Yes, it is.
What's a breakout year? Like I find 50 and 51 points in year 2 and year 3 of your NHL career. 51 points at 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a breakout year.
I think he's kind of thinking more in terms of 65, 70, and I think that Slafkovsky is going to get there.
Okay.
If you look, like this is something that I've spent a lot of time looking at, high draft picks and what year it took them. Like Nathan McKinnon had a really great first year, but then he fell back, and it wasn't until year 4 that he took off. Scheifele in Winnipeg is another great example of a guy that really didn't take off until his 4th year. There are a lot of picks, especially guys that make it real fast out of the draft and into the NHL. They don't actually break out until year 4. It's the guys that enter the National Hockey League at 20 and 21 that break out in year 3. So being so young, it's not surprising at all that it's taken 3 years to get to around 51. And year 4 is quite naturally, if you start at 17, 18, the year that you break out. So I am predicting, and I've already had this in my mind before I saw that question just now, that this is the year. It will happen. He was very angry with himself last year that he didn't concentrate on hockey in October and November enough. He said it himself. He was critical of himself. Management was critical of him. We've seen the video of them kind of being unhappy with what kind of game he brought, that he was not what they were looking for. And I think he's not going to kind of be I don't know what the word I want to, wasteful. It was a bit of a gaspillage in October for him that was unnecessary. And I think he's going to come flying out of the gate and produce 65, 70. And I'm calling that a breakout year.
Wow, that would be huge. All right, back to the questions on the Sick Podcast. Thanks for watching live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. And of course, the Sick Podcast is brought to you by Betway. It's brought to you by Zuflaki Authentique. It's brought to you by Playground. It's brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. And it's brought to you by Tibi. Speaking of Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all North America, they are driven to be different. All right, okay. Back to the questions. Simon Leblanc, in your opinion, which players have more chance to make the team between Beck, Kapanen, Roy, Engstrom, and Reinbacher? I will say...
That's a hard question, man.
I will say... I think Kapanen has the best chance, but Brian?
Yeah.
Reinbacher, I think, is the wild card. And the reason why I say that is, yes, in an ideal world, Reinbacher hasn't played enough at the American Hockey League level, and you want to give him more reps. I think this player is extremely intellectual player, and it might be counterproductive, maybe, having him in the American Hockey League.
Counterproductive.
It could be. It could be. I know it doesn't. It could be counterproductive having him in the American Hockey League if the guys are not going to see the game the same way that he sees it. He might actually perform better with NHLers and actually perform better at the NHL level than he would at the American Hockey League level.
In terms of that the NHL is a higher mental league and a more predictable one as a result.
Well, I need you to think about this, okay? What if Reinbacher plays with Hudson? Everyone's saying,
no.
Everyone's saying that Reinbacher eventually looks like he has all the makings to be the ideal defense partner for Hudson, right?
I love Goalie with Hudson.
You love Goalie with Hudson, eh?
I absolutely love them.
And
together,
you love Hudson on the right side. Then is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't look any poorer, and that's a very hard thing to pull off. He was just as good on the right as left, and that's stunning.
I don't have a problem with that either. I don't have a problem. I love Goalie. Goalie can eat minutes, and I think Hudson could be just as good on the right side, if not even better. Like ideally, I think you want Hudson on the left, but Hudson can play right. We all know how difficult it is for a left-handed defenseman to play the offside.
Mm-hmm.
Hudson could do it with his eyes closed.
And he did.
And he did.
And
he'll do it again.
And so what kind of happens there is you kind of go down the line a couple of years, and then you see that he would push back to the left when Matheson is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to Reinbacher, I think that I see him at least 25, 30 games in the American Hockey League. He needs to get a little bit more game action because of the limited AHL experience that he does have. And defenseman takes a long time to learn. I mean, hell, it's 27 years of age is your peak as defenseman.
I think eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but you'll have a left and a right with Goalie, with Dobson. And you'll have a left and a right with Hudson and Reinbacher.
Eventually. But Matheson is a wild card there when his career is concluded, or his minutes have to drop because he's slowed down. That's when I think that change would be made.
All right. More questions. Let's take a couple more questions.
Well, my answer to that was Kapanen, by the way.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think
my number one.
Yeah. Passing by says, if the Habs miss the playoffs next season, is that a failure or disappointment? Great question.
I love this question.
I think it's a disappointment. I don't think it's a failure.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's a failure.
I think failure is a very strong word that really can't kind of also acknowledge that other teams were great. Like, what if they get to 96 points? But it's the kind of year like that one year the Canadiens did miss the playoffs with 96 points. It can happen.
I need people to think about this for a second. The Canadiens went through a rebuild. In November of, was it November 26th, November 28th, whatever it was back in 2021. The Canadiens relieved Marc Bergevin of his duties. And they brought in Jeff Gordon. Couple of months later, Jeff Gordon brought in Kent Hughes. 1 month later, they both brought in Marty St. Louis. They're 3.5 years into a rebuild where they finish last, fifth last. And going into that fourth season, the Canadiens made the playoffs. You know how many teams have tried to make the playoffs after 3.5 years of a rebuild and haven't? You know how hard it is to do? Yeah, Colorado pulled it off, I think. I think the Rangers pulled it off too. It's very, very hard to do. So although the expectations are high with the Canadiens that the young players are all getting 1 year older, so they should be getting better. Plus, they went out and acquired Dobson and Bolduc. I still believe that if they miss the playoffs, it's a disappointment. But
it's a disappointment to me as well. They finished with 91, and they added the best prospect in the world in Demidov. They added a first pair defenseman in Dobson. They added a 19-goal scorer in Bolduc. Mm-hmm. They will add Kirby Dach, hopefully better and healthier than he was last season. That is a massive amount of talent that they have added. What did they lose? They lost Armia and their best face-off man, Dvorak. When you look at what they added, if they finish lower than 91, it's a disappointment because they added some massive, massive talent and no one has aged out.
Bobby says Tony's hair looks good tonight. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bobby. I went to see Joey at Moxie yesterday, so he gave me a trim, and that's probably one of the reasons why it looks good tonight. That, and I spent about half an hour in front of the mirror earlier today, and I plucked out about 100 gray hairs. I did that.
Oh, don't do that. No, that's a mistake. They're all going to be gray. Look at me.
Yeah, I know. I look, I'm not, I did it. I did it. Okay, I did it.
Let's just keep them. It's fine.
Yeah,
Truly, it's fine.
I did that. And then I went out to take a walk, and I closed my door leading to my garage. And when I went to close it, there was a rack on the door, and I hit my forehead, and I scratched myself, and I was bleeding, and I have a little bit of polysporin on it right now as we speak. All right, okay. One last question. This has been fun.
Boy, the questions have been great tonight, haven't they?
From Ryan,
Oh, my
they
goodness.
really have. Which line mates would Demidov perform best with? And are you willing to put Caulfield on the second line as a result? Which line mates would Demidov perform best with? I think he would one day perform best with Suzuki and Slafkovsky.
Absolutely.
With Suzuki and Slafkovsky?
Absolutely.
But if Cole Caulfield has anything to say about that, he's going to say, hey, I like playing with those guys too. Look at our stats.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this season, I think they'll keep the Suzuki, Caulfield, Slafkovsky line intact. And I think they're going to start the season with Patrick Laine, because I don't think they want to start with Patrick Laine on a third line or a fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't go out and get that second line centerman, I think they'll start the season with Dach if he's ready. So I think they'll start Dach, Demidov, Laine, but I expect to see a lot of variations this year. If they can't produce, I expect to see Bolduc on that line at one point. I expect to see Newhook on that line at one point. Heck, I wouldn't even be surprised for a game or two that we see Joe Veleno on that line if Veleno obviously is able to bounce back and play some of his best hockey, which it's been difficult for him in the last 3.5 years.
It just shows when you ran all through those combinations that
not 3.5 years, about a year. Yeah.
That they are so close, Tony, to a magical top six.
Yeah.
Magical. You know, like line one last year, you mention it all the time after we pointed it out when we talked about it, that they had the best differential 5-on-5 in the league, did the first line. They had the most goals 5-on-5 in the league, did the first line. So they'll stay intact. And then the second line with Demidov on it, I mean, that's a major league talent when he gets comfortable on the second line. And he'll only get to play with players of his caliber on the power play next year. So they are close. Stanley Cup champions, Tony.
Yeah.
They have 5 of the top 6 that are really, really talented, that are stars. And generally speaking, people don't know this, but generally speaking, one of your top 6 is not in the star category. Yeah. And very often one in your top 4 is not in the star category among defensemen. But this roster is just one player away at forward and is already there on defense.
Brian, I'll leave you with a comment from AG who says, trade Slafkovsky for Mason McTavish and put Dach on the wing. I'll end it with this, okay? It's easy to say in a chat on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But Kirby Dach has underachieved thus far early on in his career, which his career started about 6 years ago in the National Hockey League, but he's probably played about 3.5 years out of those 6. He's underachieved or he's had several injuries, the last 2 of them being big ones. So if you do this and Dach gets hurt again, and then what? Number one. Number two, if you do this and Slafkovsky in 5 years turns out to be Mikko Rantanen Part 2, you're probably going to regret doing it. And by the way, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if Slafkovsky is going to be Mikko Rantanen Part 2. I do know this. He believed that his game was similar to Mikko Rantanen's when he got drafted in the National Hockey League. And he got drafted number 1 because he was absolutely dominant at the Worlds and at the Olympics. Like, once again, folks, I don't want to put too much into what I'm going to this next stat, but I think it's not a fluke either. 2 players under the age of 20 in Montreal Canadiens history had 20+ goals, 30+ assists, and 50+ points. The late Guy Lafleur and Juraj Slafkovsky. It's good company. Now, a lot of people are probably going to say, yeah, well, Jesperi Kotkaniemi's been in some record books too, and probably so is Alex Galchenyuk. I get that, but I'm not I know it would be a young player for a young player. but I'm not giving up on Slafkovsky. I'm not now. No, not doing it.
Not me either, but I will say it's not a crazy trade.
It's not a.
It's not a crazy trade.
It could turn out to be a great trade for both teams.
Yeah. Center is a more valuable position than wing. We all know that.
That's true.
If you can find one who plays an intelligent 200-foot game, you really improved your hockey club.
If
so we know that.
Drafted Brady Tkachuk instead of Kotkaniemi, you could make that trade that the guy just talked about.
Right. Exactly.
But some are going to say if you would have Brady Tkachuk, you probably wouldn't have finished last and had the chance to draft Slafkovsky, right?
But with what I just said, Tony, I would keep Slafkovsky.
And so would I. Brian, have a great night. Thanks for doing this on a Wednesday and August 6th. And what I can tell you is we had over 1,000 people watching live
That's great.
on YouTube on a night where it's just
on an August night and,
on an August night with nice weather where there's just so many other things to do. And we
that's
thank
wonderful.
all of you
Thank
for
you,
watching.
everyone.
Thank you, Brian. We'll talk to you soon. All right. If you like the podcast tonight, leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love for Shane Gaumont, Agnello, and Sammy Cavallaro. Thanks for watching the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.